My mentors used to tell me it takes 2 years to make a kitchen yours, effectively shifting the culture. Sourdough starters and successful kitchens have a lot more in common than at first glance. Both require a healthy, beneficial culture to thrive. And once you understand that process of building that culture, it will make new system implementation fluid and smooth. Stick around as we delve into how nurturing the right environment can elevate your culinary team. If you're struggling with shifting your culture, I would love to help you build the environment that supports that change with a step-by-step process. Just like these chefs who've already applied the Beyond the Food process to their operations. Simply book a call by clicking the link in the description below the video or comment discovery so that we can schedule a 45-minute commitment-free discussion. And welcome back to my channel for professional chefs who want to grow their leadership skills and culinary programs so that they can lead, mentor, and teach the next generation the tools to execute phenomenal cuisine. I'm Gerald, a certified master chef and owner of Legit Concepts. Recently, I was discussing some SOP implementation with one of my coaching clients, and I was reminded of a principle that has served me very well over the years. And essentially, all cultures, from beer to yogurt to kitchen, are developed and maintained the same way. You see, in both the culinary and leadership realms, the process of fermentation beautifully mirrors the transformation needed to create a thriving team culture, which, incidentally, is also how you would go about implementing a new system or process. At first, starting with raw product, then applying appropriate amounts of time, elements of nuance, and selecting out that which does not positively contribute. Let me explain. A few years back, I was presenting at Chef to Chef in Nashville, and I was asked to make pickles. And in order to do that, I started out by making a batch of beer, and then I took that beer and I turned it into vinegar, and then I took that vinegar and I made it into pickles. There's various points of control, but for the sake of simplicity, let's talk specifically about the individual parts of that. I started brewing beer roughly 20 years ago, and since then I've really gotten to know and like the process quite well, and it hit me very early on that fermentation is exactly like stepping into an unfamiliar environment and making a team want to follow and implement new ideas. Let's start at the beginning. Fermentation is a natural process where microorganisms like yeast and bacteria convert carbohydrates, such as starch and sugar, into alcohol or acid. This process is used to preserve and enhance the flavors of food and beverage. In bread making, yeast ferments the sugars present in dough to produce carbon dioxide, which makes the dough rise. In brewing beer or making wine, yeast converts the sugars in the grains or in the fruit into alcohol. Fermentation also produces acidic foods like yogurt and sauerkraut, where bacteria creates lactic acid as they digest the sugars and creates an environment that serves as a preservative environment, and it preserves the food, also giving it kind of a signature tangy flavor. And just as yeast transforms ingredients through balance and time, effective leadership facilitates a team culture, one member at a time, through balance and time. This process is not instantaneous, but a gradual cultivation of the right environment for stimulated and nurtured growth. If you consider your kitchen like a fermenting crock, each new addition is like introducing a new strain of yeast into the environment that can either enhance or destroy the entire batch. The leader's role is to integrate these elements in a way that promotes harmony and enhances collective growth. Practically speaking, this is done with thorough selection of candidates and clear onboarding, especially in terms of the culture. Where in traditional fermentation, you're looking at ingredients like yeast, sugar, water that inevitably yield results like acid and alcohol. In our kitchen, those elements are traditions, tools, customs, behaviors, language, and habits. All of those things lead to specific outcomes. In fermentation, it's alcohol, acid, or CO2. In our kitchen, it's timeliness, effectiveness, consistency, and execution. Take the example of being on time. That comes from controlled and consistent application of scheduling, respect for time, exactness, consistency, time testing, and accountability. All of those are cultural. All of those are either helped or enhanced by the people that are in the kitchen, on the team, supporting others in their process. All of those pieces come from specific practices and therefore lead to specific results. Intentional results require intentional inputs. Just like controlling the temperature, the sugar, the yeast strains, through trial and error and selection of the most desired traits and outcomes, you'll inevitably end up at a desired product. In the kitchen, selection of the most desired traits and outcomes will lead to the desired shift once that dominant culture is a favorable one. Inevitably, you have to hit that tipping point. Until that point, there's an uphill battle in shifting a culture. Additionally, if you alone represent a culture and your team as a whole represents a completely different culture, you're better off starting moving very, very slowly. Just like yeast, one yeast cell turns into two. In a new culture, your culture has to turn into two before it can turn into four. All cultures, especially raw and wild cultures, require patience to evolve. It takes time to select and to breed for the best behaviors in a culture, every new shift takes time and energy, be it from a toxic culture to a healthy culture, from a good culture to an extraordinary culture. The right environment and an intentional blend of those elements are what make that transformation possible. Sometimes it needs to happen one person at a time. Sometimes it needs to happen one cell at a time. And so we come back to the coaching client that I was working with, talking about implementing a new SOP. It's important to find one person on the team who can test and who can try that new SOP, who can work through those individual pieces and start to slowly recruit them to the benefits of doing it, the pain points that are going to come about from not doing it. And then when that happens, slowly but surely that person will come on board, and now there's two of you working with this individual process. It's important to note that new systems and procedures take time because a habit has been scientifically proven to take 60 days to take root. Just because you do something once or twice doesn't make it a habit. Something that's done for 2 months will become a habit. That behavior has to be maintained, encouraged, managed, selected in order for it to yield the fruit or the desired results that you have. As a leader, our role is a bit like that of a chemist, making sure that we've got the right variables in play, that we're supporting our sous chefs in the assistance of checking and testing new processes and systems, and also holding people accountable for making sure that they get done. None of those things happen without intention, and they all require focus. Eventually, leading to a critical shift when you reach the tipping point and the system itself proves that it works, and then the culture takes on that new process and it becomes a tradition. Once that happens, as people become introduced into the culture, they'll start to adopt that practice. But until then, it's a long uphill battle, best fought one step at a time. It's a journey best traveled one foot in front of the other. And that's just my 2 cents. If you learned something from this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more. Turn on notifications for when I put up a new video, and that way you can help me reach more chefs. If you want systems and processes that work as well as a system to implement pillars, similar to cultivating a healthy, constructive culture, schedule a call with me, because this is the work that I do and have done for the last 15 years. Comment discovery below or click the link in the video description to learn more about how you can apply these principles and truly transform your culinary environment and the management of those necessary resources beyond the food. Thank you for watching, and remember, just like in fermentation, the right ingredients, a little time, and clear standards can yield incredible results. I look forward to talking to you soon.